We can't say about Shlomo Melech bad. Came the voice of an angel, and this voice of an angel came and he said, "B'mishichai al tig'u." This Shlomo Melech you're not going to touch. Why? Because he has schut David. The schut of David, even though he made such a mistake, he still has schut, and he goes to Olam Haba. Today, my friend, one of my friends, I'm not going to mention his name, he has a worker, Miskan, Syrian guy. He told me today, Levaya. He said, there's nobody for him. He has no children, never got married. He says there's no one, 81 years old. Never got married, no children. Never, no Kaddish. No, there's not going to be no Hashkava. Maybe the cousins will do it. Maybe they forget.
For who?
This guy that he knew, worker, 81-year-old guy, used to work salesman in his place, in his jewelry shop. Today was Levaya. Today. And there was no Zecher, no child, no Jew, no son that he can say, this is my son from Tahor, Kedusha, that I can say, he can say Kaddish for me. Yes.
He never got married.
He never got married.
RABBI делает Kaddish.
Even if you're нету, син не должен быть. Не надо принести луцами здесь. Нету.
Петя, RABBI Kaddish к нему не относится.
У него дети есть?
Нету, не ста.
Это Kaddish как RABBI.
Нечто, будет говорить. А что, это не обидно, человек будет идти между Бог. Бог будет спросить, где ваши дети? Я не хотел детей принести. Я не хочу Ганейден принести вам. Не тот рата. Person has to bring children to this world. He wants to be able to say, listen, I want my son to say Kaddish for me. Why am I bringing him to the world? I want my legacy to continue. I don't want to have a legacy that's half-baked.
Maybe that was the reason that he didn't get married.
RABBI, one question.
No such thing, John. There's no such thing.
RABBI.
There's no such thing. They say, listen, I don't want to disrespect the person who died. They say he had girls lined up for him. That's how good looking he was. He decided not to get married.
RABBI, money.
Come on.
Question.
You know, I tell you one thing. I tell you one thing. Listen. I learned this in life. Very strong point. I learned a very strong point. You could bring a point. Rabotenu, Mechila. I want to tell you guys one thing. In my business, you know me, I don't make money off RABBI. I don't need to make money off this.
That's true.
In my own business, I deal with non-Jewish people. And I can tell you one thing. They do not think like we think. The ones who I deal with. They're very intellectual. And they always look. To find and build a family. Okay? We in our bedin, we have people every day wanting to become Jewish. Non-Jewish people. A lot of them we say goodbye. You're not to be Jewish. A lot of people are Jewish. But you have to understand, what does it mean to be Jewish? What it means to be Jewish. What it means to be Jewish. And what Shlomo HaMelech was taught by his father and his mother was, do not forget your identity. Do not forget the way of Hashem. The way of Hashem is so important. We don't understand. I see myself every day. Difference between people who shomer Torah, and I see in myself people who are not shomer Torah. I want to give you one last point. We have in our shul, we have a person who's a convert. Him, his wife, his son, from Caribbean. This guy, I know him personally. Every Jew should be like him. I sit in his house, bracha, gemara, learning. And he told me one thing. He said, Benny, I want to tell you one thing. I was not Jewish, and now I'm Jewish. And he said, he's going to kill me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. He said, he tells me in private, he said, the challenges in life of not being Jewish is much more greater than being Jewish. Listen to what he's saying. He says it's harder to succeed in life not being Jewish than it is to be Jewish. This is a person who lived not Jewish and a person who is Jewish today. Shomer Torah, Mitzvot, Shabbat, Tzniut, everything, A to Z. His son sitting next to him. Nasha Bukhaski, we lost this already. Our son goes outside. You don't even see him come to shul. Even my own son, I feel bad about it. What are you going to do? I want my son to be in shul. No, I want to be upstairs. You sure he lives upstairs from the shul? What are you going to do? Fight? They became too sensitive today. No, you can't teach them anything today. I can't say hello to him. No, but look at him sitting, and he told me this. He said, Rabbi, what a non-Jew has, he told me this personally, he says a non-Jew's challenges is from whether he has a food on the table or not. He says, you don't understand. He says, this is the challenges non-Jewish people have. You go to every Jewish home, there's always food. There's bracha. If there's no food, there's Tomchei Shabbat. You have organizations, you have mishpacha. There's always food on the table. There's always bracha on the table. How can you say that this guy who lived both sides, he lived? One time someone came to me, one rabbi came to me, he said, BENY, he said, listen, I deal with Bukharian community all my life. I said, you're right, you deal with Bukharian community all your life. But you have one mistake. You're not living Bukharian all your life. Big difference. Big difference. You can deal with the community, but you're not living it. Two different things. So this person is telling me, I lived this way and I lived that way.
You have to live.
I rather choose being Jewish. So how do we see this with Shlomo HaMelech? Shlomo HaMelech said, very simple calculation. A king needs to have a certain amount of wives. Why? Because God forbid, if all the mishpacha dies, who's going to continue the kingdom? It's concept. The kingdom needs to continue. You can't have a community without a king. This was back then. So comes the Gemara and says as follows. Machloket in Gemara. One rabbi says a king can only have one wife. Says more than one wife, we'll take him off the derech. Take him off the way of God. The other Gemara section, the Gemara says, no, he can have up to 18. The other rabbi in the Gemara says, no, he can have as many as he wants, as long as he doesn't want, go away from the Torah.
Tamara.
So we have one king, King David, he had 18 wives. Why? Because he knew he had to continue the kingdom. You have one of the greatest kings that we ever had, Chizkiyahu HaMelech, had only one wife. Comes King Shlomo and he says, no, I'm going to be better.
800.
Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. And because of this, he said, I'm going to be Gav. He said, I'm going to make myself succeed more. Ya samni umni atzech. Ya budu success. This is what he said. I am the smartest. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to be able not to go off the derech. They say, for 300 years, the wives of Shlomo HaMelech built Avodah Zarah in the Beit HaMikdash. They didn't take it down for 300 years in the Beit HaMikdash. Can you imagine, for 300 years, Kohen Gadol comes to Kodesh Kodashim. He wants to bring Korban, and he has to pass through this big Avodah Zarah every day. Can you imagine this? Until Chizkiyahu HaMelech didn't come, it wasn't taken down. So we have to understand, Rabboteinu, what are we doing in our day-to-day life? This is, by the way, the Tanakh, the Old Testament, is not like the New Testament. New Testament, what does it say? It says, if a person slaps you on the cheek, right? Go the other way. Give him the other side. Whatever it is. Torah says no. A person slapped you, take him to Din Torah, he has to pay for his damage.
American way.
The right way. It's the right way. I stole, I broke, you have to fix it. What is this? The Gemara says, why do we sell aliyot on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? The Hasidim, they explain why. It says, because what is money? Person says Adam HaRishon's curse was what? He has to sweat. Work. What is sweat? Sweat is blood. It's like blood. Person sweating is exhilarating. His blood is flowing more just to make that extra dollar. So he says, when you buy the aliyah on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, for whatever amount you're buying it for, whatever you can afford, it's as if you gave your blood to the mitzvah. You elevated the mitzvah bigger than it was before. You made its value stronger than it was before. Not only are you saying the bracha right now, you're giving tzedakah. You're giving from your blood this mitzvah. And that's what we see today. Yoshvo, every day Yoshvo, from the community Yoshvo, from the shpachot Yoshvo. I think the Bukharian community is the only community that does Yoshvo. Like
in the world.
No such thing, no one does it. Even my friend said he went to Azkara